Major immigration reforms are scheduled for the UK in 2025 to 26. The government has released a white paper detailing these reforms. The reforms span across work, study, settlement, and asylum processes. Key proposals will be examined to understand their implications. The analysis will focus on impacts for those planning to study, work, or settle in the UK. The immigration reform is driven by a significant increase in net migration. Net migration rose from 224,000 inches, June 2019, to 906,000 inches, June 2023. The government aims to establish a controlled and managed immigration system. The reform seeks to align immigration policies more closely with UK workforce needs and required skills. The reform is structured around two central objectives for the UK. One primary goal is to decrease the nation's dependence on labor from overseas. A related aim is to simultaneously expand the UK's domestic workforce. The reform also seeks to manage and reduce net migration into the UK. The intention is to bring net migration back to levels deemed sustainable for the country. These dual goals of workforce adjustment and migration control are the core drivers of the reform's specific changes. The government plans to elevate the required skill level for primary work visas to RQF Level 6. RQF Level 6 is equivalent to the academic standard of a bachelor's degree. This new skill threshold will apply to all new visa applicants. Minimum salary requirements for work visas are also set to increase. The current immigration salary list will be discontinued or revised. The revised list will prioritize highly skilled occupations. The temporary shortage list applies to occupations below RQF Level 6. RQF 6 represents a threshold for skills impacting eligibility. Fewer lower-skilled roles will qualify for inclusion on the list. A demonstrated UK shortage is necessary for lower-skilled roles to be considered. This policy limits the availability of lower-skilled work visas. The qualifying period for indefinite leave to remain, ILR, is subject to change. The standard qualifying period for ILR is currently 5 years on many visa routes. Proposed changes may extend this qualifying period to 10 years for numerous visa routes. This represents a significant shift in the pathway to permanent residency in the UK. Applicants should stay informed about the latest updates to immigration policies. The standard 10-year settlement rule may have exceptions. Individuals making significant contributions can be exempt, points-based system. Dependents of British citizens may also qualify for exceptions. These dependents might retain the original 5-year qualifying period. These exceptions provide flexibility within the settlement framework. New white paper proposes stricter English language proficiency standards for migrants and their families. The aim is to facilitate better integration of migrants into society. Migrants will be required to demonstrate English skills at approximately the B2 level. The B2 level is roughly equivalent to the A-level standard in English. This requirement applies to various immigration pathways. Meeting the English language requirement is essential for successful integration. The graduate route is confirmed to remain available for international graduates. A proposal suggests shortening the duration of the graduate route for non-PhD graduates. The proposed duration for the graduate route is 18 months in many cases. This change reduces the time graduates can remain in the UK post-studies. The duration adjustment aims to refine the graduate route's accessibility and length of stay. The UK emphasizes the connection between immigration policies and national skills development. International students are expected to acquire skills relevant to the UK economy. The goal is for students to transition into higher-value roles post-graduation. Student visas are increasingly aligned with the UK's specific economic and training needs. Employers sponsoring overseas workers will encounter stricter regulations. Sponsorship costs are set to increase, impacting financial planning. Employers will bear more responsibility for training UK-based workers. The immigration skills charge will be raised, adding to overall expenses. These changes collectively make sponsoring overseas workers more difficult. The The recruitment of overseas workers for specific lower skill roles will be reduced. This policy change primarily affects sectors that heavily depend on overseas labor. Examples of affected roles include care workers and similar positions. The reduction in recruitment aims to address specific labor market needs. New regulations impose stricter criteria for dependents of workers and students. These criteria include elevated English language proficiency standards. Enhanced verification processes are implemented to strengthen oversight. These adjustments impact family migration policies. The family migration route is set to become more stringent. Fewer automatic pathways to settlement will be available. This change aims to make family settlement in the UK more challenging. The new regulations will impose stricter criteria for family migration approval. The white paper indicates forthcoming reforms in asylum procedures. It also signals changes related to illegal migration management. Enhanced border security measures are also planned. These reforms may include expanded use of digital identity and e-visas. Improved tracking systems for arrivals are also under consideration. Higher thresholds for work visas are being implemented. These thresholds include increased salary requirements. Stricter skill requirements are also part of the new measures. Some measures have already been established. Further measures will be introduced in the coming weeks or during this Parliament. Changes to settlement rules are scheduled for future implementation. English language proficiency requirements will increase to B2 level. The new rules will affect future visa applications. These changes are expected to be in effect by 2026. Careful monitoring of the updated rules is crucial for successful visa applications. The requirements for obtaining a work visa are becoming more stringent. Increased skill levels are now expected from applicants. Higher salary thresholds are being implemented for visa eligibility. Workers should anticipate longer waiting periods before achieving settled status, ILR. Opportunities for students to remain post-study may be reduced. The duration of post-study stay options might be shortened. The pathway into high-skilled employment is increasingly important. Visa eligibility will be more dependent on securing high-skilled work. Sponsoring overseas staff is becoming increasingly complex and expensive for employers. Employers must ensure that the roles they offer meet more stringent requirements. Increased requirements include demonstrating a need that cannot be filled by local workers. Employers also face stronger internal training obligations to develop local talent. Several sectors heavily depend on lower-skilled overseas workers. These sectors include care, hospitality, and construction. These sectors will likely experience increased pressure due to potential labor shortages. These sectors may need to adapt their training programs to address labor gaps. Recruitment strategies may also need to be revised to attract and retain workers. The standard pathway to settlement and citizenship involves a potentially lengthy process. The duration of this process is contingent on specific eligibility criteria and application processing times. However, certain applicants may qualify for an accelerated path to settlement and citizenship. This accelerated path is typically reserved for individuals who demonstrate a significant contribution. The nature and extent of this contribution are key factors in determining eligibility for the faster track. Without meeting the criteria for the accelerated path, applicants should anticipate a longer processing timeline. Visa rules are subject to change. It is important to check the latest visa rules at the time of application. Previous checks may not reflect current regulations. Up-to-date information ensures compliance with current requirements. When applying for work visas, focus on positions that align with high skill or degree requirements. Ensure the offered salary aligns with work visa requirements. Discuss sponsorship readiness with potential employers. For study visas, select institutions offering courses in high-value skills. Carefully evaluate the post-study pathway options. Align academic choices with future career opportunities. Long-term settlement requires careful planning, potentially spanning a decade or more. Building a strong contribution record is essential for successful settlement. Improving English language skills is crucial for integration and opportunities. Focus on overall integration into the new community and culture. Employers should audit staffing strategies to identify roles affected by temporary shortage lists. Plan training initiatives for UK staff to address potential skill gaps and evolving needs.